Hey, it's Jacqueline from the CTS Sports Room, coming to you from my car. Because it's Christmas time, and my house is full of people, and I told them I was going grocery shopping, but really, I just needed a break. So I downloaded this new app that we just partnered with. It's SuperDraft Pro. It is the future of fantasy sports. And you can play for cash, prizes, and experiences that money can't buy. Like the peace and quiet I'm getting right now. You can play for free, or you can get their non-gambling subscription. Either way, you can still win cash and prizes. If you want more information, my friend Kyle Murray is going to tell you about it.
It's not easy being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
SuperDraft Pro and Caesars Entertainment are bringing you the future of fantasy sports. So, if you want to play like a champion or need a break from the family, download SuperDraft Pro today. Play like a champion. Information will be in the link below.
Welcome to this edition of the main event. Joining us live from Dallas is super welterweight prospect Alex Rincon. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we went live, I was just touching base on, just you finished out the year commentating. How was that experience for you? You did the Zurdo Ramirez fight, right?
Yeah, it was a blessing. It was the Facebook card of the Zurdo Ramirez fight. Zurdo versus Gonzalez, and man, it was great. It's always been a dream to kind of be commentating a fight. You always watch commentating, and fighters especially are very I want to say judgy, but they criticize a lot when it comes to commentators in boxing, because there's a lot of biased commentators. There's a lot of commentators that have never been in the ring, and so that's kind of a thing. Whenever you go in there, you don't have nerves necessarily, but you want to make sure you're not one of those guys. But overall, it was just a great blessing, especially doing it alongside my brother, and it felt good. It felt natural, and we had a good time.
Is that something that you might think about after you hang up the gloves? I know right now you're still young, but
yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to do that. I definitely feel like me and my brother both have the IQ to do so, as well as the knowledge, and just can speak very well and see what's going on in the ring, and not taking sides as well.
Now, I think, I as a fighter, as you mentioned, in commentating, what do you get to see something that you don't experience, like if you're sparring or if you're training or you're looking at video? Is it a different type of view as coming from a fan, but now that you're a professional, you're a pro boxer, and you see them fighting, you see the fights up close?
Yeah, up close, it's definitely obviously having the angles from especially ringside, being right there. But it's kind of like a judge, like what we tell fighters, or even the younger fighters when I talk to the amateurs, a certain judge can have a certain angle, and from here it might look like a clean shot, but on the other side they might see it and the guy might be head rolling, or it's just all about the angle. But it's another thing too. You have to kind of compose yourself and control on being like ooh or ah about certain things, and but it is definitely another view, being ringside and just being a commentator, and from being just a spectator, just watching to watch your friends fight or a teammate fight, and all that. So yeah.
You're a guy of many hats, but I kind of I'll circle back on some of the things. I wanted to focus on your pro career. I know you're 9-0, signed a Golden Boy. What's the plans, being that it's 2022? Is there a goal to more rounds, bigger fights? What do you got in plan for this year?
Definitely get bigger fights, and then eventually moving up to the 10 rounds. I believe we have, I think, one more 8-rounder to do, and then we'll be bumping up to 10. Obviously, with COVID and everything that's going on, it's been very difficult, not just for just Golden Boy fighters, but I feel like for boxing in general, it's just very difficult, especially with this new variant. It's tough, but with all that aside, our goal is to obviously keep going, keep climbing the ladder, and working towards bigger fights with more rounds and then bigger opportunities to eventually, obviously, become world champion down the road.
Now, your last few fights ago, you fought in Dallas, right? Your hometown.
Yes, yeah.
How was that feeling? Was it? Did you feel like it was a little bit more pressure? Was there a little bit more jittery nerves?
No, it's always good to be at home. Um, but my last few fights have been in home. My last fight was at the Star in Frisco, and the fight before that was at the American Airlines Center, and the fight before that was before the whole crazy year of COVID of 2020. I had fought at Grand Prairie under the Virgil Ortiz card versus I think Orozco, and so my last 3 to 4 fights have been in Texas. So I'm kind of used to it, but I'm ready to fight back again. Like it was good to go back home a little bit and kind of
Hmm.
get spoiled by fighting at home, but I want to fight in California and keep that fan base growing, or going back to New York where I have fought before, where I had fought in Turning Stone 3 times. So it's good to fight in all kinds of places, different venues, different states, even different countries if that's an opportunity.
Oh, nice. Your training camp, do you keep it all in Texas, or do you travel? Do you go to
No,
certain?
most of the time where our base is in Texas, but then whenever we get ready for camp, we fly out to DC, to Maryland, with Lamont Roach Sr. as my manager, and our team with Coach Clean, D'Angelo Kennard, who's our strength coach, and we're out there with our stablemates, Mike Reed, Lamont Roach Jr., Rihanna Rios, the female fighter, working alongside with other fighters too with strength conditioning, Atlantis Fox, Mike Fox. So we have a really good stable out there, good friends, good people, and we get great workout in DC. So that's
No,
where we go for training camp.
that's awesome. I know Rihanna. We had her on a couple of weeks ago, and she got the
Oh yeah.
fight coming on the 29th, right?
Yeah. It's
That's
actually
awesome.
under our management's our boxing gym out in DC. Team No Excuses, their first pro card. So it's exciting. It's great
Yeah.
to be a part of that gym and seeing them do a big thing.
Good. Do you have a fight set up, getting ready for training camp soon, like a fight date coming
Uh,
up?
yeah, we should have something going on early in the year. Or early, obviously, we're already in 2022, but something within the next couple months, we should have something set out for us. Nothing set in stone yet, but it's something around the corner should be happening.
Now, kind of changing gears a little bit, just before Christmas, people that don't know, you also are an artist, and you just released your first full album. How was that, especially rolling right before Christmas?
Man, it was good. I kind of like pushed it a little bit because I was like, man, it was all about timing, and I was just like, let's get it out now because I'm about to go to commentate, and that'd be a good way to talk to about. But
Uh,
I was just excited. Just like in boxing, you learn a lot about yourself when you're in the ring or after a fight, after sparring. You learn a lot about yourself as a person. So with music, like I learned a lot about myself and maturing because I'm only a year into this. I've only been a year and a few months into the music, and I'm still kind of finding my pretty much my bread and butter on what flows easier, what's my style, and what's better. But me being a fan of all kinds of music, I grew up to classic rock, to 80s rock, Kiss, Bon Jovi, Metallica, Def Leppard, REO Speedwagon, that type of stuff. And I have the Latino side of me where I listen to reggaeton and all that stuff, but also having Luis Miguel, Intocable, Norteños, all, like I listen to everything.
yeah.
So I'm growing as to having a sound, but it was great, man. It was dope because when I first started, I was like, all right, this is gonna go really well or really bad. So, but I had faith in myself because I don't ever put my eggs in one basket and think like, all right, it might be okay. Like, nah, if I go into something, I'm gonna make sure I go all in, and I make sure I'm at the very least good at it. When I used to play ball back then, and I was really, really good. And boxing, obviously where I'm at now, I'm great at what I do. And then with the music, I was like, man, and it's cool because it gets you with boxing. You kind of have to be this perfect painted picture of a role model, this and that. But it allows me to be vulnerable if I want to be. It allows me to be whoever I want to talk about, whatever I want to talk about. And people can judge. People can, no one should be judging. But I mean, at the end of the day, like people can judge, people can't. At the end of the day, I can do whatever I want. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, that's awesome too. The biggest artists have people that don't like their music too. So that's what I try to, tell myself and understand. But yeah, man, it was cool to end the year with that. And I'm already working on new stuff. So
How did you come up with the title of the album? What inspired you to?
So it's actually pretty deep. It's funny, people don't realize how deep it is. So I actually had to find a name that wasn't just themed. Like if I have a project called Heartless that I dropped out around Valentine's Day, so that's more deeper stuff, intimate stuff, more about just intimate music. Quality was just a name that doesn't necessarily mean the theme. So Stable and Shattered. The best way to explain it is people are not everyone is shattered in a way, and everyone has stable pieces of their lives. So um, you might see a person who, male or female, who's successful in what they do, and people see them do good things, but they have shattered pieces of them. That person might be into drugs or into bad things, or have bad demons that no one knows about, and they have shattered pieces. So we have a stable side of us, but we also have a shattered side of us, and it allowed that to have talk about music that's deeper, real music, and then music that's like party music or hard rap. So it kind of has both sides: the stable music, the shattered music, and
No,
it also talks that about people too.
I brought that up because it's just the title itself, and just right now talking, I could tell there was it meant a lot, and then the album cover, which I'll put here, it was
Yeah.
pretty cool because it was like I was like, there's got to be a meaning. Now,
Uh-huh.
on your fights, are you gonna play your own walkout entrance music? You gonna play your own music?
Yeah, I actually did that on my when I found the Garcia and Campbell card.
Uh,
I walked up to a song called "Don't Know Us," and
uh
unfortunately, the way the time was set up, it was because they try to make sure they match a good time with the UK. So I was supposed to be on the Garcia card, but then they had bumped me to the very last fight of the night, which I was like, damn, like so, like the many people were there, but
Yeah.
I walked out to it. Jojo Diaz was commentating, and he was like talking about my music, so it was funny to hear him talk about it. Because me and JoJo are in a cool in a way where we'll talk every now and then, or have a good moment. But he's the guy that I've met before in person multiple times, and real good dude. But yeah, I walked out to before, but now I have a lot more new music that I'm like, man, I want to walk into this one next, and then this one next. But yeah,
And for those also that don't know, you have your brother,
yeah,
that's also a professional. A lot of times, a lot of interviewees like to talk about that, but I'll show your brother love whenever he comes on the show.
yeah.
But how were your holidays? How was it with your family? I mean, you come from a huge family. What's your history on the boxing with your family?
With family, we have a big family, but it's a little spread out. I have family in Houston, Baytown area, Channel View. I have family here in Dallas and in Carrollton Farmers Branch, Little also kind of spread out. Then I have family in Monterrey, Mexico,
Okay.
Laredo, Nuevo Laredo. So I have family all over on Nahuac. But for the holidays, we just had to keep it real small. We kept it real small. Just me and my mom, like my kind of like our immediate family. Unfortunately, I had some like kind of family emergencies going on around the holidays. But at the end of the day, everything's okay now. So thank God. But yeah, the holidays we kept it real cool, and I liked it. Usually, we grew up from having a big gathering back then, and my tias and everyone, parties like 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was having less people. It made it a little bit more intimate and personal, where we could actually, because sometimes how it is a big event. So you gotta talk to this person, talk to this. You gotta make sure your time is divided, and it was just easier and a lot more relaxing rather than it. Christmas and holidays should not be stressful.
No, no.
You know,
So
yeah.
being that you had the opportunity to stay, with your close ones and kind of got to relax, because you're right. If you come from a big family, then it's like the competition, and you talk about reminisce of growing up.
Yeah,
Um, so you started your pro debut in 2017, right?
yeah.
Did your career, meaning your cornerman, your promotion, have you started with them since 2017?
Yeah, since 20, so I had my debut with Golden Boy. I had signed the contract, I think, like around Thanksgiving time to be with Golden Boy in November of 2016. But once we had our fight, my first fight in March, the ball started rolling from there.
So, growing up, I'm 41. I'm a big De La Hoya fan. I grew up, like,
Yeah.
Was that somebody that you looked up to?
Well, absolutely, man. We
Uh-huh.
obviously every kid can growing up watching the lawyer, the cookout, family gatherings, like,
Yeah.
man, we had a gym. Actually it was pretty cool because Oscar had like retweeted something that my brother had tweeted or I think put on social media. And when COVID happened, my dad had this gym in our garage whenever we were little. So if we couldn't make it to the gym, my dad would train us, in the garage. So we had a heavy bag, treadmill, speed bag, double in, all the whole nine. But my brother had put up a video and we were working on the garage. And, we have like this whole wall of, we have Fernando Vargas, we have Loya, Shane Mosley, Trinidad, Morales, Barrera, Marquez. We had all these people. My brother kind of zoomed in on Oscar, and Oscar was like, "Man, that's one badass, poster, but also, just the whole setup."
Still mirror.
But yeah, it was a blessing, man. Whenever I first signed the contract, it was kind of like it didn't hit yet, but once I was there, it started to settle in. It didn't hit me until after my debut happened, like the weigh-ins and all that. It was cool and all that, but like I wasn't worried about it. I was there to handle business, and once I did, then I got to like soak in everything. Once I fought. Yeah, it's definitely a dream come true to be able to be signed a Golden Boy. And sometimes I have to step back and kind of reflect on the how big of a blessing it really is, because not everyone is signed to promotion. Not everyone has the opportunity. So I know people will do anything to be in my position. So I can't take that for granted.
No. And then the ringside is definitely your corner people stayed with you since the debut. It didn't change, so that's good. Going back to the drawing board with the goals that you have going, are you in any rush as far as for that title fight, or do you just want to take it one step at a time? One fight at a time.
I'm not in any rush per se. I don't feel like I need to be in a rush. But obviously, whatever opportunities are put in front of me, I trust my manager all the way through. And it shows what he's done with the son and what he's doing with everyone else in our stable. So, I'm not in no rush or anything like that. Obviously, everyone is anxious to get at that level, but the ones that rush it are usually, when you rush things, it doesn't end up playing in your favor. But I'm just taking things, one fight at a time. I feel like if I was, 29 or 30, then I'd start to push a little bit more. But no, I'm not in any rush.
Now, a lot of people don't know you're pretty tall for your weight class. Well, how tall are you?
Yeah, 6'2".
That's crazy.
Because
a lot of people, Do you feel like that's a big advantage when you're fighting your opponents?
Yeah, that's a big advantage. Most people I've fought, I've definitely had the height advantage over or length over, and that definitely helped me in the amateurs too. Even when I was fighting at 165, I was usually towering over a lot of people. But definitely. But in the pros, it's we're at this level now where my height helps, but we all have a game plan. You know what I'm saying? So I can't. A lot of times people are like, "Oh man, you must be easy, like super hard to touch." Man, we're all fucking pros, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it helps for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I looked at your highlights, and a lot of people who are that tall, like you kind of reminded me like Paul Williams, because when I was looking at you, I was like, "Dang, you tall and you got that reach," but you didn't hunch down, which I could tell that you practiced that craft because you fighting straight up instead of the hunch, which was pretty cool. That's when I realized like he must be tall. I looked at that, like, he's kind of tall because that other dude's just like getting mollywopped. Real quick before I let you go, I'm gonna ask you 12 questions because of boxing 12 rounds. Just quick rapid fire. Being that you're an artist, who would you want to do a duet with?
Man, there's a handful of people, but I'll give you probably like in order of like the top 5.
All right.
Right now, the reason why I would pick him, J. Cole, is because when I work with other artists bring the best in you. It's like when you spar, sharp sparring. That sharpness is going to be pulled out of you as well. So I feel like J. Cole, because he has really deep lyrics, deep bars. Then it would be The Weeknd. I love The Weeknd. Joyner Lucas. Lil Durk. And then probably Drake.
So the lyrical with a little bit of the swag. Okay.
Yeah. So
All
those
right.
artists definitely. I bump a lot of them, and even Latinos. Like I like Sech. I love Sech. That's a good artist.
If they were to make a movie of you and your brother because you're professionals, who would play you?
Who would play me?
Uh,
Probably someone goofy because I'm a goofy ass dude. So man, that's a good question. I would say there's this one the guy from probably he don't even look like me, but the guy from a freaking was it Southpaw? The guy who played that Hispanic dude that ended up fighting him, whatever.
yeah. Okay, I know you too.
Not a big name actor. George would need an Asian actor, Jackie Chan, because George is Asian. I tell me that George it looks like everyone whenever George is like kid photos, like I saw like, man, dude, you're adopted or something. We look completely different. I feel like some people are like, man, you look alike, but nah, I think we look different. Yeah, George would be like a fan.
Going back to your pro memory, any fight that stuck out, what was one of your highlights that you can sit back right now because of out of your 9 fights and treasure and look at it and be like, oh man, this is real. This is.
I think when I fought against Jeremy Ramos, it was in Houston, and that fight I went through something pretty personal in my training camp, and but I was very, it allowed my faith to grow with God, and that gave me strength, and that fight, that dude came to fight. That was my first like test fight, and that guy well, technically second, but that guy came to fight. Like anytime I threw, most guys I would catch, they'd kind of like, freeze, or they wouldn't come back with more punches because I would time them or counter them or my speed. And this guy would come back regardless, even if I did catch him. And it was a tough dude, but I kind of liked that because it was one of those fights where you leave the ring like, I earned that win for real, and it was a good win. And so, yeah, that was definitely my favorite fight. And then my last fight too, being the guy that's not normally a 154 pounder who didn't make weight. And I tell everyone, like, every ounce counts, when you're a pro, whenever they don't make weight. So guy was like a pound over. And he moved after my fight. He ended up fighting Nikita. I forgot his last name or whatever his name was, Nikita Bay or whatever.
Okay.
So he had fought him at 160. So that guy, I could feel his weight, him being bigger. And that for me, it just, you could just tell that that game plan that we had in camp just worked. So the fact it showed my discipline and me being coachable, listening to my corner and being completely disciplined to the game plan. So that's those 2 fights right there are the ones that I value the most.
Okay. When you're in training camp, how often do you look at film from your opponent?
Oh, for my opponent, to be honest, I look at it a few times, but I don't look at it too long. A lot of people get too carried away on like, you might get it twisted with, these habits are these. You gotta know how to filter habits from what this guy is doing because that man's in front of him. So I watch enough to see, all right, these habits, because I feel once you start looking a lot, you start overthinking it. And then I let my manager and my team look at everything else, and they just we work on it in camp, we work on the game plan, and everything is just pretty much programmed in me. So when I go in there, it's muscle memory and it's programmed.
Okay. Now here's a quick one for you. Some of the fights that you've had, I know you and your brother fight that same night. Whose favorite parent is wearing whose shirt?
We usually have a shirt that like it's for both of us for that fight. I'm trying to think for my last fight. I don't even remember what I did for my last. No, I don't even think we made shirts for our last fight. Now I think about it, I don't even remember. But now like it's funny because I always tell my mom, like, because I always like me and my brother pick on each other a lot, but I'm always the one that talks shit first. So she's like, hello, blah blah blah. Man, he's a favorite, right? I just talk shit, but
I kind of figured out. Right.
Big size, yeah.
Now, just a little knowledge, because you do a lot of things. You do the commentary, rapper, and boxing. What would you give a piece of advice for someone who wants to be in your shoes, or just a little bit of knowledge?
Back then when I was younger, and this is me kind of opening up a little bit. I think a fighter, most of the time, they say boxing is a poor man's sport. And sometimes you feel like boxing is all you have and all you can do because it's all you've ever really known. I had good grades in school. There were times that, I'd definitely get in trouble with some stupid stuff, but I wasn't a bad kid, and I was always afraid of seeing life after sport, or this never worked out. And I had a mentor and my coach who had passed away, rest in peace, Boogaloo. He, both of them kind of gave me insight as to how life, there's life beyond sport. And obviously, with financial saving up, not using your money being stupid, but pretty much not being afraid of what can happen outside of the ring. As in, you're not just meant for boxing. So that allowed me to completely, fully invest myself in the sport of boxing because I was working at one point at like a rehab tech at a medical facility. So I work with patients. and it allowed me like, okay, you're not just a fighter. You're smart. You're a smart person. You can do more than just fight and train. With music, like you can literally paint pictures with words and touch people's hearts and emotions with words and lyrics and your voice. And same thing with commentary. You can let other people see what you're seeing, and it's just kind of a blessing how much power words have whenever they're used the right way. So it allowed me to kind of not have fear in the sense of what can happen if boxing isn't here anymore. So if there's an answer, that's the answer for me.
The heart that keeps on giving. There you go. Think outside the ring.
Yeah.
I got it. I felt it.
Yeah.
If you could fight anyone in any weight class, who would you want to fight? That retired or active?
Why to fight anyone? Any weight class.
Yeah. Did you say you were heavyweight and you wanted to fight someone in heavyweight? Like it was there.
That's actually funny that you said that weight class, because I was like, man, I would want to fight Mike Tyson just to see like that dude. I would like to see him in front of me and like see what I would want to do, because that aggression power was crazy, and have someone in there to know like that dude was crazy, ruthless, like, and then obviously not like there all the at the time, so having someone like that in front of you. But I think another person I wish I could fight was Manny Pacquiao. Just because his speed and his movement, also because he was probably he's probably my favorite fighter of all time.
Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, being Mexican, he was killing us to see that. But he's good. I mean, he was good.
And his footwork, man, his hand speed and footwork is what I love. So I would love to see that in front of me, because when people talk about it, they just talk about how like overwhelming it is. Like, holy shit, when it was in his prime, like his hands are just everywhere, and then he just be behind you or next to you at that point.
Yeah, he was a different type of fighter. Let's see, last one. I got two more. Here you go.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, career wise, what do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for, man, honestly, like, that's a good question, because I've had that question asked, but not in that way. I think I want to be known for a guy who just comes in and puts his heart on the ring. Puts his heart on the ring, and it's just a guy who respects the sport. But more importantly, just always gives the fans a show. They're always excited to watch me fight. Not because you have fans that are like, oh, I want to see knockouts all the time, but someone who purely enjoys the sport. And I feel like all my fights I've shown, IQ and technique and skill and power, aggressive. Like you see that I have every tool. So I want to be remembered for that. Like, this guy isn't just any other fighter, because I know I'm not. So yeah.
Because you're southpaw, right? People don't know you're also southpaw too.
Yeah, left-handed fighter, yeah.
And then I'm kind of gonna hone in. I mean, echo on what you were saying on your answer, but the last one is this: for those watching that are not familiar with you, what is one thing that they can look forward to in your fights, in your career? Like if they're looking back in this video when you're a champion, what's that one thing that you want them to look for those that don't know you?
I think just for my height, being able to bring the fight inside too. My inside fighting, like, because when people, there's one guy had said, like, supposedly they had a guy wanted to come spar me. Some other pro, this was like a few years ago, and that they were like, they had told him, hey, I kind of want to go spar. I was going, and the guy was like, no. Like, he was like, why not? And he said, man, I can work him on the inside. And the guy was like, no, this dude can find the inside too. And someone told me that because he was at that gym, I think, sparring, and he heard them, and he's like, hey, I don't mean to, I suppose he like went in, I don't mean to interrupt, but like, that motherfucker find the inside. Because my brother, growing up, was always, he was a shorter guy usually in some weight classes. So I would always watch him. I'm a big visual learner. So I learned that before I even had my first amateur fight. So I knew how to go on the inside and work. And like, even people who've been in the ring with me, or even my stablemates will tell you, like, like, even though I was a 6'2", like, he has a good eye on the inside. So people that know, like, yeah, he's 6'2", but he's just as dangerous on the inside as he is on the outside.
Awesome. And then the last thing I always like to give everyone, is there you want to give out shout outs to anybody, or where they can find you, what social media you use?
I was Rincon 95 on Instagram. I was Rincon 95 on Twitter as well. I'm not really on Twitter much. I think those are the only really two things I have to give out. But yeah, my music, Rincon. It's just my last name, Rincon. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music. You can probably find some like music videos. My recent one is called Peace of Mind. That's probably my favorite, one of my favorite songs I've ever made, just because it hits deep. Like I've had like certain people on my last album call me, like literally say that some songs put them in tears because of how
Nice.
deep certain things are, and they relate to uh certain things like
Feelings.
demons that feelings and demons that they've had to battle. So I'm actually working on a song now, that kind of is another one of those songs, and I feel like that's kind of the lane I'm trying to stay in, like some stuff that people can really feel.
Like,
But yeah, no, shout outs. I want to shout out all this to my manager, Lamont Rhodes Sr., Lamont Rhodes Jr., my whole team, the whole team, No Excuse, everyone in DC, all my family everywhere. I now Monterrey, everyone in Texas, Houston, Little Elm, Dallas. And also, I just want to give a shout out to my family.
don't forget Austin,
My
man.
mom. Also, yeah, Austin, Texas, right? Austin. Everyone in San Antonio too. When I go out there for sparring, thank you to them. My big brother George, he's about to have his 30th birthday, the
Nice.
18th, January 18th. If anyone wants to give him anything, just cash at me, and I'll give him a few dollars. But now I want to give my big brother a shout out too, just because he's a big role model to me. I love that guy to death. People, if you don't know us, all you got to do is watch a few interviews of us, and y'all can see, how tight knit me and my brother are. But yeah.
Everyone, this is one more Sanchez, and this is my last take, my final thought on Alex Rincon. I just finished interviewing him. I mean, the guy was awesome. After the interview, we talked about how I just kind of wanted to focus on him as a fighter. I know even though his brother's a professional fighter, and he enjoyed that piece. Really respectful guy. Definitely going places. I think that during this interview, I like to just go with the flow and just the energy that I had, and just the way he's about his family and the fans and everything. It says a lot about him, and I'm now a fan who's going to watch every fight and see that career blossom. For more information, please don't be sure to follow him. Support all the boxers. I want to thank first and foremost Chicano Sports for giving me this shirt, giving me the opportunity to represent them. And as always, I want to thank the producer of the show, Joseph Lasada. I want to thank the whole CTS family. Please follow us. We have shows that have boxing, which I'm the boxing, of course. We got boxing, basketball. We have football. So be sure you follow us for the latest. And as always, have a good one. Happy 22. Happy 22. Later, one.